this week. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Festival of Hope. First, let me just say how grateful I am to all of you who have sent in comments and told us what a difference Festival of Hope is making for you. That was our whole intention. So it feels so good to know that people are resonating with the idea of studying a new thing every week and being a part of this sort of exploration of so many cool topics, rituals, holidays. So thank you, all of you who've been sending kind messages. It's much appreciated. I also want to just give a shout out today to our team, Jenny Sellers, Mary Moore Hughes, who have been behind the scenes working on so many different elements of the Festival of Hope. I couldn't do it without you guys, and I'm super grateful. So when y'all are sending some love to the program, please include these Jenny and Mary in your love, because they're scheduling talent, creating documents so that you have what you need to move on to the next thing. Also, of course, thank you to our volunteer presenters and the people who've been willing to join me to share their stories, and our community members. Really, to spend a whole group effort to get this Festival of Hope up and running and providing just a little light in what has been sometimes a dark year, hasn't it? So anyways, that leads me right to what we're talking about this week, which is what will I plant? So as we've talked about a few times, in fact, last week was one of our ritual weeks where we talked about journaling, because there was no official holiday that we could find that we would be exploring. Same is true this week. So what we're looking at is what will I plant? And this concept came to us because, and especially in the last several months, people have really kind of turned to their gardens as a way of coping with strong emotions, coping with being at home, coping with the changes that the pandemic has wrought in our lives. Lots of people have been spending time in the dirt, and that is just such a healing experience. Everyone who I know who is an avid gardener says that their soul is healed by putting their hands in the dirt. And so we wanted to kind of explore, what does that even mean, and what kind of gardens are we talking about? Because there's so many different types of gardens. There's the gardens. I want to just give a shout out to one of our board members, actually, Terry Marvin. Her and her husband Chip created a vegetable garden. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it was their first one ever, but it was definitely their first one in a while, and grew a crazy amount of tomatoes, which Michael and I were super fortunate to benefit from, piles of tomatoes. And so, but it was the beauty in the growth. It was the opportunity to put some work into something that yielded, in this case, food. But I also have one of my family members on my Australian side has the most, Marion has the most incredible garden. And my mother-in-law, Lynn, also has an incredibly beautiful garden. Both of them, know the seasons of where they're going to plant. They know exactly what kind of flowers offer, which insects will come for that flower, whether, or animals. I don't know if you've ever seen a hummingbird actually take nectar out of a flower, but it's incredible. And so I think the idea of, gardening, my first thing that comes to mind is either vegetables or flowers. I don't know about you, but I also have experienced so many people in places like New York where the plots of land are much smaller, and perhaps they're apartment living, having window gardens and even herb gardens in their windows, and inside plants that they grow. But this whole element of caring for something that grows is a beautiful way of expressing that the emotions that we sometimes, I think, especially during this year, have been sort of holding in, right? Like, we're trying to show care and concern for people, and oftentimes that's virtual. But when you're able to grow something, when you're able to interact with something that you are fostering its growth, you have an opportunity to express that care and concern in a different way. And it's just been so cool to me to hear several different people talk about the ways in which their garden has really changed because of the pandemic, because they've been home, because they've been looking outside thinking, I actually would like to grow something, or I'd like to grow something again because maybe you used to garden, or maybe you had a different size place at a different time and spent more time out in the garden. I'll tell you that here in California, one of the things that I've been doing, as you all, well, actually, maybe I haven't said it here, but I went through a transformation of my outside space during pandemic, realizing that I didn't really have any outdoor space that I loved, and I absolutely love my new outdoor space. And as far as what's growing, jasmine is my favorite plant. I would love it if any of you are here on the chat. Tell me what your favorite plants are, because I would love to hear what some of your favorite plants are if you have one. But jasmine is one of my favorites. It's the blooming of the jasmine is, a part of the year that I relish. Like, I wait for the black jasmine to bloom. And so often on my running courses, there's jasmine that's planted along the sides. And so one of my favorite things to do is morning runs when the jasmine's blooming, because it just smells so incredible from wherever you are. And so I have 2 huge jasmine plants out front that have transitioned with me through 3 different moves, believe it or not. And I can happily say they're alive, though I can't take that much credit for it because Michael does more watering than I do. But we have really worked at succulents. So here in California, very dry weather, the succulents do well mostly. And so I've planted succulent garden in our shared space outside and have really just enjoyed having a way to care for something that, responds by being beautiful. So I'm curious if you have any kind of plants that signal a season change or have an emotional connection for you, and whether you grow those plants at home. Another good friend, oh, Michelle said she was forced to work in a garden as a child and she did not like it. So now she lives at very high altitude, rocks and forest, no garden. Oh, and does not miss it a bit. Michelle, I feel you. Like, if that is not your thing, that is not your thing. But I will say that you are witnessing growth if you have rocks and forest right outside your door, and to be able to grow. And like I said, sometimes it could be any small thing. It might be a house plant, it might be an herb garden, or it could just be tending your soul. So if the growing of gardens is not something you're interested in, please know that we could also use any kind of growth as an opportunity to tend something. And really, that's the point of the gardening, isn't it? Is what will you grow? Asking yourself the question, what things do I want to grow, either literally in my house, in my yard, or in my soul? All of those are valuable questions to ask, especially as we're coming to the end of this really challenging year. I feel like 2020 is asking us a lot of questions. And one of the key questions is, what would I like to plant? And what would I like to see grow in my life, in my relationships, with my friends, with my family, and then maybe, as I said, literally in the space around you. If you happen to have beautiful space that's already growing something that you don't have to be responsible for, more power to you. And if you find solace in the dirt and being able to foster that growth yourself, again, what a beautiful expression of care and concern. So in whatever way you're able to find what you want to plant and tend it. And so I'll put out my favorite soul tending quality, which is kindness. I would love to see people planting kindness and fostering kindness in 100 different ways, because I feel like there's just no way we could ever have too much kindness in the world. And the more of us that are out there planting kindness and then tending kindness and watching kindness grow, the better. So that's just one small example of a quality you may want to plant and tend and foster the growth of. And if it's jasmine like me, then I'd love to know if there's any jasmine lovers out there. But please know that whatever it is you choose to grow, that is all about being able to tend something and intentionally give care and concern to something that you want to see multiply. Jean says she's planted a simple memory garden and it ended up being beautiful. Jean, I love that. 2 frosts have not yet ended the garden. That, in my opinion, is really an accomplishment, because I don't know how green your thumb is, but mine is not that green. So whenever something continues to thrive under my care and it's green, I'm always so happy. Gina, I love that you did that. I love that memorial garden, and I'm so grateful that it's beautiful. I hope that it continues. And isn't it a beautiful thing to tend? And in that case, not only are you tending the literal plants that you're looking at, but you're also tending the memory. And what a beautiful way! What a beautiful way to continue to grow love. I really, really thank you so much, Jean and Michelle, both for sharing those comments. I'm going to just let this comment stream roll just a couple more seconds to make sure that I don't miss anybody else, because if anyone else has a comment they want to make about what you personally want to grow, whether that's a plant or a vegetable or a flower or a quality within yourself, I'd love to hear about it. That's what we're going to be working on all week this week. So you're going to hear about literal gardens, and you're also going to hear about other things that we can grow within ourselves, qualities, and the idea of tending, the power of tending. I think that's one of the beautiful things about relationships, is that we have the opportunity to pour our care and concern and love into relationships of all sorts. And that tending, that attention, is what grows them into beautiful relationships between people. So maybe right now what you need is to tend a relationship. If you have one that's in need of a little care, maybe maybe this is the time. Maybe this week is the week we can talk about how you might want to tend that relationship and what attention you can give to someone you want to remain connected with. All right, well, it looks like our comments have ended. So I feel like we can wrap up with this final thought, which is let's allow ourselves to sit with the question, what will I plant? And then once you've decided what you want to plant, whether it's a quality or an actual seed of some sort, how will you tend it? What time and energy can you put towards tending it? And what is it you hope to grow? So let's all consider those things together this week. I thank you all so much for being a part of our Festival of Hope family. And again, your comments and your generous appreciation is really touching our hearts. So thank you from our whole team over here to each and every one of you. I look forward to a continued week of exploration, and I'd love to hear about what you want to plant and the ways in which you're going to tend something that's going to grow exponentially. So love to everyone. I will look forward to connecting throughout the week. Be well and take good care of yourselves. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.